Hey guys, DM Scotty here. Welcome to DM's Craft. Good to have you with me. I'm so glad you guys have been joining me on these this crafting journey, and so many people are getting so much out of it. It just gives me joy to know that people are finding my techniques helpful, fun, super cheap, you know, compared to some of the other things that are going on out there to make your terrain and dungeons, and just, you know, I just love the creativity. So, but today I'm going to bring you something that I never thought you would expect to use as a crafting material. This stuff is fairly cheap and unusual, and I've used it for years actually for different applications. You could actually use it to replace, it's actually a much cheaper version of texture paste that I've used in other videos. The texture paste has a little more ease of use, and I believe it's a little sturdier, it's a little harder material. But this could substitute easily. This material I'm going to show you now could substitute easily for that kind of paste. Another thing with it is, if you use it on cardboard, the cardboard can kind of suck the moisture out of this, and the cardboard could bend. So you really got to think about what kind of materials you use this on. But today we're gonna use a wood base, which I'll show you, so there's no problem with that. But let's go to the table and I'll show you this mysterious material I'm talking about. Here is my mystery material. Now this is latex caulk. This is the cheapest I could find. You can find these at big box stores. This cost me, I think, $1.30 for this tube. So, and this can last you quite a while. Now, you might think, what the heck are you going to do with caulk? But there are a lot of things you can do. You can add texture to objects, but what we're going to do this time is we're going to do a stone cairn that's like stacked stones. And you might never think you could use this material for that, but it works great for it. So now we have the tube. Now make sure, another word, make sure that when you get this caulking that you don't get the silicone, because that has the silicone rubber in it. You don't want that. You want just the straight latex caulk. So now I need to open this tube and prepare it for application. So what I'll do is I'm just going to use some thick scissors, and I'm going to cut the tip off of that. Now the problem is there's also a membrane inside there. So what I'm going to do, it'll make a little bit of a mess. I'm going to just grab a piece of, you could grab a nail or anything. I'm just going to use this piece of wood here, and I'll push it in, and I'll pierce that membrane, and so it'll be all ready to go. So it's all set. I'll just wipe that off. Okay. Now you also need a caulking gun. Now you can get these pretty cheaply. I think I even got this one at the dollar store, to tell you the truth. So I'll just load the cartridge into the caulking gun, and then click it so it's ready. And then I'm just gonna get it started there. Now one thing to keep in mind is that when you do this kind of stuff, a little bit will squirt out from the end, just from the pressure that's left in the tube when you apply the caulk, like just how that, see, I didn't push it, but a bit popped out. Now, I just basically let that dry, and that forms a seal on the end of the tube that keeps the caulk from drying out. So that's a great way you can do that. Now, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you the armature, the base I'm going to use for the basis of this project. And then we'll come back and I'll show you how to apply the caulk. So let's go do that first, and then we'll come back. To start this project, I need a frame to build upon. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use this wooden base, and this is 1/8 of an inch thick. And then I'm going to use a screw. This is 2.5 inches long. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to attach it to this base. So I'll grab my favorite glue goop, open that up. Just try to hit the center. All right, close enough. Now I'll just let that dry, and we will have our basis for the project, and it'll be a nice interior structure to help hold it up. So now we'll apply the caulk. We'll let this dry, and we'll apply the caulk to this armature, and then we'll talk about where we're going to go from there. Here's my armature. It's all dried up and all ready to go. Now I chose the screw so it would give some holding power to the caulking. So now I'm going to use my caulk, and I've already opened it, but I leave a little bit on the end when it squirts out, so it kind of forms a seal. So now I can just break that off, and I'm pretty much ready to go. So I'm going to plunge the tip down onto the screw, and then I'm going to start pumping a little bit. That sounded kind of dirty, didn't it? I'm going to cover that entire screw. All right, there we go. Okay, so there we go. Now we have the start of our cairn. Now, I know it doesn't look like anything now, but wait till we get into it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to let this dry a couple days, and it'll form a fairly hard outer skin, but it'll still be pliable, and I'll see how we can use that I'll show you how we can use that to our advantage. So let's go put this away for a few days, and then we'll come back to it. Here I have a few days of drying with the acrylic caulk drying, and it has a hard outer shell, but it's flexible inside. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to kind of do mark off the layers with this tool, and I'll just kind of what I'm just going to do is just go around the circumference. So I'll go all the way up to the top there. Kind of mark those off. And the piece is fairly flexible, so you will have some shifting, you will have some, we have to redo some parts. And I'll do that final layer. Now for the top, I want to stick that stone on the top, so I'm going to kind of twist that piece off the top, off the screw. All right, there we go. So now I've got that there. So now I've got kind of areas traced out. Now I'm going to use the curved piece of my tool and then just start doing some impressions into the caulk. And just kind of making shapes, roughly stone shapes. Trying to have that so you can see while I do it. And then you go up the side and then just start and just kind of curve it. You may have to go back over some of them once you've done them. Just from when you push in, it can push out some of the other stuff you've done. So push down a little bit, make it a little flatter. So you can see I'm already getting some nice little detail on there by just pushing in with this piece. Now you just go up the whole, I'll just go up the whole thing, and I'll show you what it looks like when I'm done. So here's my cairn. I got it all sculpted out, and you can see all the detail on these rocks here. Let me give you a closer look. So I got some really nice detail on those rocks. So all I did was I just used the plastic sculpting tool, and I pushed in to get these rock areas. I also did a few spots where I pushed the point of the tool in to give it more of a breakaway from the background itself. So yeah, just keep working it until you get the texture you like. I also hit it a little bit with the the sculpting tool to give the rock some texture itself. So instead of just smooth orbs or shapes. So it came out really nice there. And we'll put the top stone on. I'll show you how to put the top stone on. And we'll have our little cairn there, and we'll be all set to play. So now what I need to do is to put the top stone on this cairn here. And so I've got it for kind of scale, but I'm going to use my air dry clay to make the top stone. Let's grab some. So I'm going to get some enough to make it look like, I don't want it too giant, but big enough to be the top stone. And that looks about right. So I'm going to have a kind of a roundish stone. But what I want to do is I want to do some sculpting on this. I want to make it look a little mystical. So I've got this kind of curved piece here, and I'm going to kind of do some hope you can see what I'm doing. So I'm doing a few curves in this. Some kind of mystical curves. Trying to make it look interesting. Let me see what I got there. Just putting some texture on it. And I'm going to keep a little bit of the stone texture too. All right, that's looking pretty good there. So what I'm going to do now is I am going to use the screw on the top of that I cleared, and I'm going to just stick it on top and then just kind of screw it down on the top of this. So there we go. Now I have the top stone on this cairn here. I'm gonna play with it a bit. You can squish some of the details. So I'm gonna, now that I have it anchored on this, I'm gonna play with it a little bit. So there we go. I'm pretty happy with that. So let me see, give you a look there. There we go. So now we need to let this dry. And what I'll do when I come back is I'm going to put some flocking on the base, and I'm going to paint this up black, and then I'm going to paint it like a sandstone texture because that's the kind of cave I'm going to use it in. But or a color, I should say. But remember, this will still be a little bit flexible. This will take probably about a week to dry totally, so it'll be a tad flexible, but it's still solid enough to handle and everything. And you can actually paint it before it's totally finished, getting hard. So it'll take a while, but it'll be nice and solid by the end of the week. So, all right, there we go. So now when I come back, I'll show you, I'll paint it up and show you what it looks like. So here's my cairn stones on the tile. I got a nice little sandstone tile. I used a sandstone type texture paint to get that color. So it really looks like a different type of cavern system. And I painted the cairns to match. Now here I'll give you kind of an idea of what the player characters, the scale of this to the player characters. So yeah, nice size. You could also do something kind of fun. You could have strength tests where the players try to knock these over, and you can make little piles of stones that form an area of difficulty to move through, difficult terrain, and maybe trap players underneath the stones, and the other players have to free them. So that could be a lot of fun too. All right, see here I kind of have a blast thing, and this is another thing you could do on tiles. You could give a clue that something might be dangerous
by that. It's like, oh, the players see that, it's like, oh crap, you know, that's like a visual thing. You didn't have to say anything about it. It's just the players are like, oh, what's that? You know, why is that there? You know, so you can do those little tricks too. It might have used the charge already and not even be dangerous, but that scares the players right there when they see that kind of burst things. You can do all kinds of little tricks like that on tiles and things. So there we go. And I'm going to pull this a little closer so you can see a little better. See, I did that top stone there, and then the stones going up the side, and then I put a little bit of flocking on the base. So I think these came out fantastic. They really look great. So and unusual, and they're pretty cheap to make, and they'll be really sturdy. They'll really stand up. So this stuff is really hardy when it dries up. So and it's a little flexible, so it tends not to crack. Clay might crack when you put it on this kind of thing, or if you did it this kind of thin, it might crack. But this stuff is pretty flexible, and it's very tough, and it won't crack. So there you go, our Cairn stones on a tile, and we'll see you next time for the DM's Craft. Hey guys, if you're really digging these videos and would like some more information or to talk to other crafters, look at the link below in the description, and you can join my forum on the DM's Craft. We'd love to have you, and I'll see you there.